What was your inspiration to founding Aquatics?
Yeah, I mean, water is a massive problem globally. Half the hospital beds in the world are filled with people who are sick from waterborne diseases. 2 million people die per year from water-related illnesses. And like 80% of the sewage, industrial waste goes back in the environment untreated. So it's a really massive problem.
Oh, you're describing a problem that's global in scope and massive.
Yeah.
But consumer awareness seems to be a challenge, and business consumer awareness a challenge.
Yeah.
Does that create a problem for your industry?
It definitely does. I mean, you probably hear a lot about the value of water. People don't put a lot of value in water. They just turn on their tap.
Expect it to work.
Yeah, water pours out, and they don't think about all the costs, the energy costs, the treatment costs, that go behind that. So it's a massive, awareness issue.
Infrastructure is starting to age. It's been out there for a long time. Do you think that there's an opportunity to leverage that aging infrastructure with new technology, or are we really in a position where we need to be thinking about rebuilding a lot of this?
No, it can definitely leverage it with Internet of Things, low-cost sensors. You can add a lot of sensors in an existing network and optimize it. So if it's like diverting flows in a more optimal way, detecting where problems are and just fixing on that area, digging up that pipe rather than long sections. So you can definitely use technology to do it in a much smarter way.
And you've zeroed in with Aquatics on the issue of testing.
Yeah.
Very few people know that water is tested very infrequently in the current infrastructure. How are you solving that problem?
Yeah, so it's kind of two things. So one is, often water is sampled, say, once a week, and that's the traditional, certainly when I entered the water market, that was the norm. What has happened over the last 20 years is people are putting sensors into water systems, and they can measure them continuously, so they can get real-time readings and get great information. So that's been created a challenge with a lot of data, and agencies that maybe don't have great technical chops, historically, don't have the systems to manage huge amounts of data, and so that's where we came in, delivering really high, robust systems that can manage massive amounts of data. So
for an infrastructure provider, a municipal service provider, how does the experience with your technology work?
Yeah, so we try and automate workflows. So they'll have a workforce that does things quite manually, and our job is to really anything that could be done by computers, and is just too much work to be done by humans to automate that. So we'll connect directly to their sensors, get the data, scan it for problems, notify if there's any issues, anything they should act on, and also connect directly to the lab. So historically they used to take a sample, and sometimes they'd wait weeks before they'd get their results back. So we get that instantly, and it'll scan and really alert on the most important
Provide a feedback loop back to the service provider that, hey, you have a problem to deal with.
Yeah, exactly.
What's the frequency of incidents like that?
It varies, certainly in developing nations. So our company is in 60 countries. So in developing nations, they're not sampling very often, and the frequency is high of problems. That's where a lot of raw industrial waste and sewage is going back in the environment. In places like the US and Canada, their instances are lower for sure, but every year about problems, whether it's Flint, Michigan, or Walkerton in Canada many years ago. So pretty major things still come up even in North America.
Is the challenge in some of the emerging markets that the source of water is also not as pure or free of contaminants, or is all of it happening downstream?
Well, I think just most of the industrial waste and human waste is going back into the environment, and they'll release it downstream of their city. Of course, the next city that's upstream from them. So right. Yeah, that's the main problem.
What is the cost to deploy a typical aquatics solution in the infrastructure?
Yeah, so we've got sell our system as software as a service, so it really scales. So if it's a small operation, it could be quite low cost, a few $100 a month for managing a massive amount of data, and really covering what would normally take people a lot of time to do. So really big savings. But we also do national systems that are like the US National Water Information System, which was in the millions of dollars. And so it's quite a range depending on if it's a small town to a country. We can really cover the whole range.
The workflow is obviously evolving a lot, bringing these types of solutions to bear. Is there a broad acceptance, or do you have an uphill battle getting people using these new technologies?
Yeah, so awareness is one challenge for sure. Often customers don't know there's a better way of doing things to automate it. They just try and do their best and get behind sort of the piles of paper. So getting out, letting them know that there are automated ways to do it. We use machine learning as well to help detect trends and get out in front of issues.